Good evening, everybody. My name is Heather Abbott. I want to welcome you to a Ladies Leading Ladies Speakeasy. We have some very special guest speakers with us tonight. Please allow me to introduce to you Mr. Michael DiMuccio. He is a Royal Diamond with the company Nikken. He is a great influencer in the global wellness community. Mike, why don't you take it away?
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for inviting me and our lovely co-hosts or co-guests here on the call tonight to introduce perhaps a new audience to this wonderful community and opportunity to explore, investigate, and become a part of a going concern, a movement that we hope that will sweep nations and the globe and make a huge impact on people's overall perception of reality, on life, and the way they live it, and the level of enjoyment and enthusiasm they have for life as they become a co-contributor and a co-creator to a new reality in this epic shift that's taking place on Earth toward global wellness and sovereignty of life. So my guest is my daughter Sophia DiMuccio, who is a recent graduate of aerospace engineering from Ryerson University here in Toronto. Also, my niece, Elena Massarelli, also a recent graduate, both from a medical background and a business background from university. And my daughter, Savannah, who is almost a graduate of psychology, embarked on this journey of being involved with us. I'm getting a connection message on. Are you guys hearing me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're hearing me okay. Good.
It's kind of cutting in and out a little bit.
Okay.
It's not the clearest. Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, we'll have to manage. In any event, as I was saying, these young ladies have recently joined our mission to change the world in our unique way, and it wasn't because I came knocking on their door. They came to me and decided that this was something that they wanted to pursue on their own. And I think hearing why it could be the start of this conversation. Why would somebody who is either a graduate of university with a very respectable degree, a highly technical degree, and Elena with a combined degree in health and business, and Savannah, who's in the psychology realm, not a business person, yet endeavoring in the entrepreneurial world. So I think the audience, and I'm going to just paint the picture for you. Imagine right now, we're talking to people who, like yourself, are where you're at in life. And or maybe they're at a cross point in their life, kind of like where you're at. You're going from one place in life, being a student, living in that world, and now you're embarking on joining the professional world and starting to pursue a career and a source of income to create a life and a lifestyle. There's a lot of people who may be at a crossroads where, especially now, where they really need to consider some options. So where were you at? And let's start with you, Sophia. What prompted all of this for you in your mind's eye? And I know you have a long-standing history with Nikken. Maybe you can share a little bit of that.
Yeah. So for me, as most of you know, I've been a member of the Nikken family since the day that I was born. But to be honest, like growing up, even throughout university, I never thought that I was gonna join Nikken. I was actually like mildly opposed to it. I think because like as every kid is, like you don't want to do all the things that your parents are doing. You kind of want to like have your own individuality. But then something shifted and something changed in me when I was approaching graduation and starting to think about what kind of lifestyle I wanted to have and how I was going to make money. And I really looked around at all the options, and Nikken seemed like a really great fit, especially because, I am already so passionate about the products. I love the products. They're part of my everyday life. I've seen my dad create a really beautiful lifestyle for himself and by extension for us. I know I've been extremely privileged. Not many kids have had the upbringing that I have. not only physically in terms of like the experiences I've been able to have and the luxuries I've had, but also the way that I think, um, the personal development that I've been exposed to. I just really started noticing the difference between me and other people my age. And I'm really grateful for that. And that I owe it to Nikken, you know? So I thought to myself, what better way to make an impact than to share the same thing that's impacted me with other people? And then when I started kind of talking to Savannah and Elena, they seemed to have the same idea where they were also like, yeah, that might be a cool option for us to do. Oh, you were thinking that too? Oh, well, maybe we could do it together. And then that's where really the excitement started to build, because we loved the idea of working on something together and creating like a movement in our generation.
Cool. Wonderful. Thank you. How about you, Elena? What does this mean to you, this opportunity, given your diverse background?
Yeah, I mean, I think very similar to what Sophia touched on. For me, I kind of traveled through 2 different degrees, and something just wasn't making sense. And it wasn't that I wasn't enjoying what I was learning, but it almost felt as though I was kind of being shepherded along a path that felt rather constricting. Something about, the kind of lifestyle that existed before me and the structure that existed before me just didn't really feel true to what it is that I wanted for myself and the kind of life that I can lead. And so again, nearing graduation and thinking about the next steps for me, and looking at the people who've come before me and the decisions that they've made and where they've ended up as a result of that. My uncle being a primary example of that. I really just started to think about the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to live, and one that would be able to generate, a sense of meaning and fulfillment for myself. And I don't see, my work as being exclusive or isolated from that, and my ability to fully lead a life of fulfillment. So I was always personally passionate about, health and healthcare. And that's kind of why I took the trajectory that I did with respect to my undergraduate studies. But I didn't kind of know what that meant for me moving forward and what that could mean in terms of being able to sustain a living for myself. And I've always kind of looked at Nikken from the outside looking in, because I've been exposed to the products here and there, but I never really knew too much about the business opportunity other than what I've seen my uncle be able to create for himself in terms of his lifestyle. And, ultimately the income he's been able to generate for himself over the last 29 years. So Nikken and its philosophy and approach to, number one, health and the paradigm shift, I think that we're kind of going through collectively with respect to health and wellness, but also its philosophy, I think, in terms of freedom and empowerment and, achieving a lifestyle of financial freedom are 2 of the things that I think people want and need now more than ever. And I know for myself that I want this now more than ever. And so the opportunity, I think, when it kind of presented itself was not what I anticipated, but exactly what I was asking for in a number of different ways. And so the alignment to me became kind of clear as day. And I've been saying this time and time again now, as I've kind of been going through the motion. For me, I think it's become a matter of just acting before you fully feel that you're ready, and just saying yes and doing, right? So that's
all the steps to a wonderful journey begin with yes, right? So yeah, thank you for that, Elena.
Yeah, so I guess not to really repeat what they've said, I'll just add to that. But for me, unlike Sophia and Elena, I didn't go into psychology because I was like, I want to be a psychologist and I want to work in an office and I want to have a job. I actually never had an idea of why I was doing it, other than that I just enjoyed it. So I've always been someone that's really followed my heart and my feelings and why I'm doing something. And so, yeah, I decided to get into psychology. And it was funny because at the time, I remember even my parents being like, why psychology? Like, you can't have a job with that. You don't have a career with that. And so many people would say that to me. And I'm just like, you never know. And now psychology is something that's so admired and so appreciated because it can really apply to every single type of career and daily life that you like daily interactions that you have with people. And I've learned so much through it. And so for me, the thing that draws me in about Nikken is that it's about people and that it's about a community, and you're really practicing those psychology skills every single day. And I think that really attracts me, and I really enjoy that. And for me, again, me and my sister and my cousin have always kind of known that like there's something about our presence together that is very impactful. And all three of us have been very clear that we want to make an impact. And I think what we've really seen is that Nikken is more so a vehicle for that. It's a vehicle, but like we joke about it all the time, but in all seriousness, it's really a personal development program with a compensation plan. And that's really everything that I, even just being in psychology, like want for myself. I love to grow and I love to learn, and I feel like I'm learning a lot. And the fact that I can do this with my cousin and my sister and even my dad just makes it even more exciting for me, because I feel like there's an energy and a presence that we bring that we aren't even aware of how that will impact the world. I just know that it will. And that's that kind of like feeling for me. So it's the feeling, and that's why I'm here.
Well, awesome. Three very different perspectives, but all together formulate a wonderful perspective. You know, these three have combined to create an identity for their team called Sovereign Life. And I just wanted to ask you why that name? How does that relate to this? Anyone?
Sovereign Life was actually a name that we came up with over a year ago, me and Papa, while sitting on the couch at his house. And we didn't really know what it was going to be used for at the time, but sovereignty is all about having the freedom to make your own choices and being self-empowered and self-sufficient. And I think, and self-expressed as well, like just having the freedom to be who you are without restrictions, without limits. And I think Nikken provides the opportunity. Like that's really why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for personal freedom. And because I want everyone to have personal freedom. I want everyone to be allowed to be a sovereign being, to not have to ask someone for permission if they want to travel or if they want to take a day off, you know, for somebody to be limitless in how much they can make, because there is no cap. They're not trading time for money. They're not limited in that aspect. For someone to be able to go when they want, where they want, to work how they want, to have creative freedom in the way that they share what they do. I think all these things contribute to living a sovereign life. Being able to have to build an asset that's going to make you money independent of you, so that you can go out and follow your passions and serve in whatever way you're most called to serve. You know, that's being a sovereign being, where you're not a slave to a system. A system works for you. And I think that's why we called it Sovereign Life, because that's what we're trying to share with people and give them the opportunity to adopt as their own and make their own.
These are, Savannah, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just want to add to that actually, because I just feel like it's such a topic that, and a thing that I think people our age really struggle with, is this idea that like, especially in our generation, you're really seeing people that just want to be creative and just want to express themselves and just want to live and experience. And for me, like one of my greatest fears is not being able to do that. Like I just want to be present with every moment and take in as much as I can of this world and this life. And to me, that's what makes my heart expand. And I feel like these are the type of conversations I have with people my age, like, but the thing is that they unfortunately don't understand or don't know that there is another way for them to be able to do that. And I think that's why Nikken is something that I really want to share with people, and why Sovereign Life is why it's called Sovereign Life, is because it's about helping people see that like we are meant to experience, and we are meant to enjoy our life. We're not meant to survive. And I truly believe that. And I think that's something that I really want to stress to my generation and to anybody, that we're here to live, and you should not feel guilty about that or feel
Awesome.
like you have to work.
Well, I'm going to try and turn this a little bit into the more practical side of things, because we have these incredible products. I know all of you have had some experience with, speak to that. What do you say to somebody who's never encountered wellness technologies, or the magnetics of Nikken, or the PyMag water, or the sleep system, or the air unit, any of the things that you have all had some interaction with? I know you're now, as business owners of Nikken consultant businesses, you're now experiencing people through your sharing of Nikken having these benefits, friends and family and so forth. So how does that make you feel? Just connect the dots for somebody listening with respect to these products. Why are they meaningful, tangible, practical? Like, what about them?
Yeah, I can jump in on this one. It definitely, I mean, depending on the product that we're focusing on, the conversation is going to be, somewhat different. But I think in the most basic sense, right now, especially, people are starting to open up their awareness to alternative modalities when it comes to health, and really looking at health from a more holistic and integrated perspective. And that it's not just a drug that you can take, but it's the systemic lifestyle choices over time that actually influence your state of health, that either, give you life or take away life from you, right? And so it's looking at that integration, but in a very basic sense, with respect to Nikken and its proprietary magnetic technology, our bodies, in a very basic sense, are made up of energy. We are energy. We are composed of, a distribution of electrical charges that creates an electromagnetic field, and different signals in our environment interact and interfere with that field. And it's either, constructive and adding, or destructive and taking away from that. And so the products essentially operate based on those principles. So the idea that, when you make direct contact with the earth, for instance, the grounding, and you make that skin to skin contact with the earth, you get that release, that distribution, and that ion exchange that takes place, where we're now starting to harmonize and balance our body's electromagnetic field with that of the earth's. We're coming back into a state of balance. And that's what our body likes. That's when we're in a state of health. It's all about being able to maintain that balance, that homeostasis, that harmony. And the products in and of itself operate on that philosophy. They're working to help bring people back into balance, because unfortunately, in this modern day and age, we are so out of balance. There's just so much interference, and there are so many backwards philosophies with respect to, how we approach health and honestly sickness altogether. So that's where Nikken comes into play. That's why Nikken is essentially the way forward, because we're actually trying to come back to, the way things used to be in terms of our most natural state of being with respect to health and harmony with ourselves, with nature, with the community. And the magnetic technology is a very vital asset in all of that. Cool. So that's kind of like on a basic level.
I love it. That's one of the best explanations I've had of that. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody have a product experience that you might, like, 30 seconds, a minute, kind of give us a...
Well, honestly, I say it to everybody, like, I don't go anywhere without my Nikken pillow. I went all the way to Australia and I packed it in my suitcase. Like, I was not leaving without it, because I find that I literally need it to sleep. Have a better sleep. I don't wake up. I actually, like, my neck feels good. My body feels good when I'm wearing it. And just recently, I've actually started to wear it, like, again, because I grew up in it, I didn't have that initial, like, stepping into Nikken and trying the products. Like, it was kind of just always there. And recently I've really been wearing this necklace, and I've actually have noticed, like, I told Elena, like, I sometimes am someone who's very jittery. Like, I sitting down for a long time is not fun for me. But when I wear this, like, I feel like my anxiety levels kind of just calm down, and I feel relaxed, and I feel like I can articulate better, and my thoughts just, like, can slow down a bit. And so I'm really noticing that wearing this recently. Yeah.
What about you, Sophia? Do you have a favorite?
Oh, it's tough. I like a lot of them. I don't know if I have a favorite product. But one product that I definitely have like very strong testimony for is the MagFlex and the insoles, because really it started out with me using the insoles for this one particular need, and then it turned into me using the MagFlex because it was just more practical. But when I was in grade 10, I was sitting in my religion class and I just got hit with these extremely bad menstrual cramps. And I thought that I was going to have to leave school because it was so bad. And then I remembered something my mom told me about how she used to take the insoles and put them, like in her pants, and it would help her with the cramps. So I had an insole in my shoes at the time, and I just pulled it out. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to see if this works. And within 15 minutes, my cramps were completely gone. And I was shocked. I was like, wow, I guess it actually works. So now instead of using the insoles that I use on my feet and my pants, I just use the MagFlex. And it's amazing. It, like, as soon as I feel any sort of like pain coming on, I'll put it on, and nothing. It completely dissipates any cramping that was about to start. So that's like my secret. And I love that it's a non-invasive solution because I don't want to take painkillers or anything like that.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you guys have had your feet wet a little bit, 3 months into Nikken. Sophia has just become a silver in her 3rd month. Congratulations. Elena and Sophia. Elena did Power Start in her first 30 days. So wait, you've had some interactions now with people, and it's not all peaches and cream now, is it? It's not all fairy tale. What's the truth? What have you discovered in this process? What's your one takeaway in terms of what you've discovered?
I think the last 3 months for me has been very interesting because Savannah mentioned it before. This is a personal development program with a compensation plan. I think for me, that's come through in the way in which a lot of my interactions have almost called me out, in the sense of identifying ways in which I don't hold integrity, or I don't actually make decisions that are true to what I'm saying, because I've interacted now with people who, don't say what they mean and don't do what they say. And so I think there's a little bit of a gap right now and a lag. And we call this, we talk about the terror barrier a lot, but people fundamentally, I think in theory, understand the principles of success, financial freedom, abundance, what needs to, mentally take place in order to get there. But there's a lack of consistency in the action. And so something that Sophia had mentioned to us in one of our previous calls was it's the law of action, or law of attraction plus law of action, right? There's no result without the action to follow through on the decision, right? And I think that's kind of been something that's been brought forward for myself. A lot of the ways in which I maybe haven't been making decisions, or maybe not following through on those decisions, and seeing that for what it is, based on the kind of interactions I've been having with the people around me who also struggle with really following through and making decisions quickly, and then acting and following up and showing up. So
wow, damn, Elena, that's honest.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I have to be able to acknowledge it to be able to actually move forward with that awareness.
Right on. We call that humans being more in Nikken, by the way. So you've got a good leg up on that. Savannah, how about you? Any takeaway?
Yeah, I really want to, number one, everything Elena just said, because we've been speaking about that a lot. And I feel like I'm really being called out when I'm not being consistent. And so I'm noticing that everything that she said relates to me as well. But additionally, I'm learning this sense of boundaries and directness, and it's uncomfortable. It is really uncomfortable. And the paradigms are slowly shifting. But especially as women, we women are taught not to be very direct. They're taught to beat around the bushes, to go in between the lines. And fortunately, having my dad as our mentor, it is very uncomfortable, but it's also very eye-opening, and it's teaching me a lot, because I'm learning that I need to be direct, and I need to set boundaries, and I need to be clear on who I give my time to, not just who is giving me their time. And so I think that's something that's again, part of the personal development, but also really important to even having a successful business that I didn't understand and that I'm starting to understand. And it's a process, but I'm grateful for it.
Wow, cool. Sophia, final words?
I would say the biggest lesson I've learned over the last 3 months is to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, that means things are changing. It means that you're growing, you know, something's happening. If you were in your comfort zone, then nothing's changing, right? Everything's staying the same. So sometimes I feel like people will take discomfort as an excuse to not do something, or to be like, oh, well, because it doesn't feel right for me, you know, but really it's just like fear, or just, it's like they're not willing to get uncomfortable. They don't understand that if something is actually going to change their life, it's going to force them to be uncomfortable because it's not something that they're used to. So I've really had to embrace that feeling and just know that I've just had to, like, honestly, like, love the feeling of being uncomfortable, because that's how I know that things are actually changing in my life. And if I have a big goal that I'm working towards, and, you know, I feel like anxiety coming up, it's not a reason to stop doing what I'm doing. It's just confirmation for me that things are actually moving in the right direction.
Great advice.
So that's something that I've learned.
That's awesome advice. So would you suggest to everybody who's watching this, no matter what their age, that Nikken is a vehicle that not only should they be looking at, but they should be making a decision to get involved in, even if it was just for the sake of being part of this active wellness community?
Definitely. Definitely. Even if it's just because you want to grow as a person. You know, it's one thing to read a lot of personal development books, and I've done that. And, you know, it gives you the knowledge, but until you actually integrate that and act on it, it's just knowledge. You know, knowledge is only useful when it's put to action. You have to have a vehicle to act on the things that you know. And that's what Nikken is for me right now, is like this personal transformation vehicle where I'm actually being allowed to apply all of these things that I've been learning from books and put them into action towards like achieving like measurable goals. So it's exciting. I can already see like my own transformation, my own personal growth, if I look even 3 months ago to the person that I am now. So yeah, that's really exciting.
Well, I know there's a Q&A segment that we need to tee up. So Heather, shall I just pass the ball back? Ladies, thank you so much. I love listening to you talk. You've got such great wisdom and pearls for such beginners in this journey. It's remarkable. So Heather, back to you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Let me stop the recording.